And let's start with a top focus this hour. Just in less than 24 hours after the Mumbai meeting, Team India is staring at differences and division. Let's pull up pictures, and what's playing is what happened in Mumbai. Representatives of 28 political parties sharing stage, discussing everything. But just a day after that, what do we have? You have Nitish Kumar saying all is well. Let's meet again. Let's plan something grand on Gandhi Jayanti, October 2nd. But while Nitish is planning that unity event again in October, I.N.D.I.A party is planning its foray into Rajasthan to take on the Congress party. Arvind Kejriwal has said that the I.N.D.I.A party will be announcing its guarantees in Rajasthan, which goes to polls next. The BJP has got ammunition from this remark by Arvind Kejriwal and has said that look at the differences that have cropped up once again. Now, this is not the first time, viewers, that we are having a situation where allies of Team I.N.D.I.A are not speaking in one voice. There have been differences galore on the post of the convener. Who will be the convener? How many conveners will be there? On who will be the prime ministerial face of the alliance. In the Mumbai meeting, a comprehensive agenda was charted out. A coordination panel was set up. But there are differences that are coming to fore. Let's quickly open this up. Joining us, Ravi Srivastav, he's a political analyst. We have Nitin Singla, leader of the Congress party, Pugat Gandhi, DMK spokesperson, and I have with me in the studio Ajay Verma, who is also from the Congress party. Now, good evening, gentlemen. वर्मा जी, आप ही से शुरू करते हैं. What's happening? अब अगर तस्वीरें देखें मुंबई में तो सब एक के साथ एक खड़े हैं हाथ पकड़ के. अब अरविंद केजरीवाल बोल रहे हैं कि हम राजस्थान जाएंगे, वहां तो कांग्रेस की सरकार है.
देखिए, ये मैटर हमारा इंडिया का लोकसभा के चुनाव के लिए है. अभी उससे पहले 5 स्टेट में राज्यसभा के चुनाव हैं, जो उसके विधानसभा के चुनाव है, जो स्टेट इलेक्शंस बोले जाते हैं. विधानसभा के चुनाव में हर पार्टी अपनी रणनीति बनाती है, अपनी रणनीति बनाएगी, अपने तरीके से करेगा. हम पूरी तरह से निश्चित हैं कि हम राजस्थान में रिपीट करेंगे, छत्तीसगढ़ में रिपीट करेंगे, मध्य प्रदेश हम बनाएंगे और तेलंगाना हम बनाएंगे. चूंकि ये देश की जो इस वक्त हालात है कि ऐसे किस तरह से कहाँ क्या क्या हो रहा है, रेलवे स्टेशंस बेचे जा रहे हैं, पैसा इधर से उधर घुमा के जब विदेशी अखबार बताते हैं, सवाल पूछने पर सरकार जवाब नहीं देती, सरकार ध्यान भटकाने के लिए दूसरी तरफ डाइवर्ट कर देते हैं. मणिपुर पे जैसे कोई चर्चा नहीं की गई, लोग डिमांड करते रहे देश की सबसे बड़ी पंचायत संसद में. तो हमारे यहाँ कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. हाँ, भाजपा का एक प्रोपेगेंडा सेल है, जो आईटी सेल में, उसमें बहुत सारे लोग हैं. उनका काम केवल इतना है कि जो इंडिया गठबंधन बन गया है, जिससे मोदी साहब और इनकी पार्टी घबरा गई है, इंडिया के नाम से, इंडिया गठबंधन से घबरा गए हैं. और उसके बाद इनका एजेंडा केवल ये है कि फूट डालो, शासन करो, तोड़फोड़ करो, झूठ बोलो, सच बोलो, ऊंच बोलो, नीच बोलो, बस कैसे भी बोलकर किसी तरह से इस खंड को, जो अखंड बना है, इसे खंडित करिए. लेकिन ये खंडित नहीं होगा. ये अखंड भारत के निर्माण के लिए, अखंड भारत की स्थापना के लिए.
अखंड भारत की निर्माण तो तब होगी जब आप लोग एक साथ आएंगे. अभी तो फोटो में एक साथ दिख रहे हैं. सिद्धार्थ यादव, स्पोक्सपर्सन ऑफ द भारतीय जनता पार्टी. व्हाट्स हैपनिंग विद टीम I.N.D.I.A?
No, actually the reality is that the country expects nothing more than this gang. This gang is just a bunch of differences on the level of ideology, differences on the level of politics, on the level of workers, all just a bunch of differences, nothing more. Rather, I would also say that the level of opposition has also gone down. My fellow speaker was speaking about Akhand Bhadra. I don't know how many of his members in the gang would agree about the concept of Akhand Bharat, because over the years they have only been opposing all such concepts which we have been fighting for. But the reality is that 3 meetings have happened. The third meeting also happened. What is the vision for India? What have you discussed for India? Nothing. My logo, my party, my alliance. The only things that you thought of that you will discuss was seat sharing, one leader, one convener. You could not even come to that.
Yeah, that's not happening at the moment. But I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you because we have some breaking news coming in. Sidharth, just hold your thoughts. वर्मा जी, आपका भी इस पे मैं ओपिनियन चाहूंगा. News just coming in. Times Now has accessed the notification of the panel set up on One Nation, One Polls. This will be a 8-member panel. Who do we have in this? Amit Shah, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, Harish Salve, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Subhash Kashyap, constitutional expert, and former President Ramnath Kovind to be leading this panel. Let's pull this up on the big screen. Meghna Deka, senior editor, now joining us with it. Yes, Meghna.
Well, yes, this is the exclusive notification that our reporter Pragya has managed to access for us. Pragya gets us this mega exclusive. This is an 8-member panel which is going to be reviewing the pros and cons of One Nation, One Election. As it was already discussed, the former President Ramnath Kovind, he is going to be heading it. But who else is going to be it? There was a lot which was said. The opposition said that this is steamrolling of our voice and our opinions don't matter, which is why it's interesting to know, in addition to Ramnath Kovind, you have Union Home Minister Amit Shah, but also from the opposition, you have Shri Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who is the LOP as well, belonging to the Congress party. You also have Ghulam Nabi Azad. He has his own party, of course. He is the former leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha of the Congress formerly. There's also Mr. N.K. Singh, the former chairperson of the 15th Finance Commission. Also, Dr. Subhash Kashyap is also going to be part of this. The former Secretary General of the Lok Sabha, also a constitutional expert himself, because there are going to be tricky constitutional points as well. Because remember, many have been saying perhaps some amendments need to be made to the Constitution in order to bring in One Nation, One Election. There's also Harish Salve, a senior advocate who's going to be part of this panel. There's also going to be Sanjay Kothari, former Chief Vigilance Commissioner. These are people who have known reputations. Also interesting for us to see how politically this develops from here onwards, Pranesh, because you have Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, one of the most fiercest critics of the government, someone who's also fiercely opposed the proposed idea of One Nation, One Election. He's also going to be part of this panel, which is going to be looking at building some kind of a draft and then building this report to present it to the center, present it to the government. It seems to be, at least it seems to be, quite balanced. We are going to wait, however, for the opposition to have their say in it.
Okay. We'll wait for the reactions. I'll go to our guests in just a bit. But Pragya Kaushika, who's accessed this notification now, joining us. Pragya, this is an 8-member panel headed by former President Ramnath Kovind and has members like Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary of the Congress party. Then you have constitutional expert Subhash Kashyap, N.K. Singh, Sanjay Kothari, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Harish Salve. Pragya?
Yes, so basically it's a very handful mix of the people who are expert of their own field. Like Harish Salve is a very senior advocate. Sanjay Kothari had been a former civil chief vigilance commissioner, and Subhash Kashyap had been a former Secretary General Lok Sabha. Ramnath Kovind, a former president of India. So all these people hold authority in their own fields by virtue of holding the topmost constitutional positions in their own respective fields. Arjun Ram Meghwal, for that matter, who is Minister of State Independent Charge, Ministry of Law and Justice, he will also sit through these meetings, and also Nitin Chandraj, Secretary to the Department of Legal Affairs. So all these people will sit, and the mandate of the committee is to examine and make recommendations for holding simultaneous elections.
Okay, just hold your thoughts. Harish Salve now joining us. Mr. Salve, thank you for speaking to Times Now. It's always a pleasure. Your thoughts, you're part of this 8-member panel.
I believe so, yes.
You are, sir. We have the Gazette notification. Your name is there right at the top.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are the terms of reference? How do you see this will unfold?
I haven't seen the terms of reference. I think it's being chaired by the former president.
Right.
and and I think the Home Minister is also on the committee. That's what I was told. Of course,
you're absolutely right, sir. It has. Let me just read it out, sir, so that you're clear. Ramnath Kovind, former President of India, heads the panel. Then you have Amit Shah, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, Ghulam Nabi Azad, N.K. Singh, former Chairman, 15th Finance Commission, Subhash Kashyap, constitutional expert, yourself, and you have Sanjay Kothari, former Chief Vigilance Commissioner.
Okay. Well, it's something on which, of course, there are divided views, but we will have to consider different dimensions of the problem. I think where I may be able to bring some value is look at the constitutional provisions and look at the constitutional scheme and the constitutional intent. There are, of course, political questions which will be addressed by those more well-versed in politics. And we will see if we can come up with a report which can be a good starting point for the exercise.
Mr. Salve, allow me to please ask you this, sir. Now, the government says that this is a reform whose idea has come. Many in the opposition believe that this is nothing but deflection.
I don't... that's a political debate on what the motive of the government is. I think we have to look at the problem and not at the motive. Unfortunately, our politics is so sharply divided that these kind of comments are unsurprising. But let not the merits of the issue be buried under this kind of rivalry. And so I feel we must look at it objectively, see what is best for India and what is best for the Indian polity. Speaking for myself, I've always felt concern of going from election to election, its effect on policy making, the policy paralysis it causes, because every now and then some part of the other of India is on policy hold because of elections, and the massive expenditure both on organizing the elections and the backup security now which we need, etc. All these are all matters which must go into the mix to see how we can find a solution to this problem.
Now, Mr. Salve, the idea of simultaneous elections was first floated by the Election Commission in 1983, if I'm not wrong. The poll panel came...
sometime around that.
Yeah, the poll panel had come up with this idea. Do you believe, sir, personally, I'm sure all this will be discussed threadbare when the meeting happens, all of you sit together, put your heads together. But fundamentally, is India now ready for one nation, one poll?
Well, India has always been ready and India will never be ready. Depends on your perspective. If you have to decide to do something which you think is good for the country, you have to go ahead and do it. And the country gets ready. See how we have entered the digital age. So, some things you have to take the lead and get it done.
Now, when the former Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. Sushil Chandra, was asked this question 2 years ago, he said, look, the poll panel is ready. It is for the government to take a call.
It is actually, yes. And it may require legislation, may even require a constitutional amendment. We'll have to see how we go about it. But political readiness is another thing. Administrative readiness and the need is something which we can address.
Now, Mr. Salve, as you're aware, this prospect has been discussed by the Law Commission, by I.N.D.I.A, by also the Parliamentary Standing Committee. I just want to quickly ask you your views on the composition of this panel.
My views on the composition of this panel, you've just read out the name of the panel.
Yeah.
It has a mix. Obviously, the presence of the former president brings gravitas. The Home Minister shows the seriousness of the government. And the panel has a mix. The leader of the opposition obviously had to be here. Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad, who's been a member of parliament for decades and also a leader of the opposition, is on the panel. I'm from the legal fraternity. We have Mr. Kashyap, who's from the Lok Sabha and the workings and the practices and procedures of the Houses of Parliament. So he brings that expertise. And the former Chief Vigilance Commissioner has a lot of experience in administration. He brings that experience. So I think it's a good mix.
Okay, good mix. Mr. Salve, thank you for putting this in context. Thank you for sharing your views with us. Always a pleasure to have you. That was senior advocate Harish Salve, a noted jurist. His first views is also a member of this he's on the 8-member panel. Pragya, you were making an important point. Go ahead.
So basically, on an average, we go every year. There are almost 47 state assemblies that go to election. So government was of the view that such frequent electoral cycles ends up negatively impacting administrative as well as developmental activities. There are regions, states, there are larger governance process. These general governance progress tend to suffer on account of model code of conduct that comes into place when every time an election is announced. So this time, in fact, Prime Minister Modi has been making pitch for simultaneous polls since 2018. It is the first time that while discussing this with the chief ministers of BJP ruled states and deputy chief ministers, he said that we should make this possible, and we should now it is time that we should even strive to have one election, one state, or simultaneous elections. So, the terms and reference for high-level committee that has been formed under the presidency of Ram Nath Kovind, who is the former president of India and obviously an authority by virtue of, who he had held the topmost constitutional post. So, by virtue of that, they will examine and recommend holding simultaneous elections to the House of People Lok Sabha. Also, they will examine and recommend if there are any amendments to the Constitution. So overall, effectively the committee, what it will do is it will find a solution how it can be implemented. If there are any safeguards that need to be put in place, they will do that. They will examine it logistically and also the manpower that is required for like EVMs, VVPATs, and this all has to be seen in context of the special session that has been called from September 18th to September 22nd. So, there are, we cannot confirm because this is not on the official legislative agenda, but there are murmurs and talks, and in fact the opposition is also saying that this can come up in the election for a debate. Whether this will be a part of the larger legislative agenda or not, whether this will be passed or not.
Let's see how that unfolds, Pragya. For the moment, we have the panel. This is a 8-member panel and has the right mix. I'm borrowing from what Harish Salve just told us. So let's see what happens, how many sittings we will see. We will have to wait for the terms of reference also. Now, there are fine prints also. Mr. Medwal, who's the law minister, will also be attending the meetings of this panel. Now, we have Mr. R. Rajgopalan, senior journalist, needs no introduction. Sir, we were talking about it on day one, and you said that a big announcement is about to happen. Then we were the first to break it. Now we've accessed the list of the committee.
It is a political committee, Pranesh. I interpret in such a way it is a very highly, too highly, experienced persons, knowledgeable persons. And if you remember, the inclusion of Ghulam Nabi Azad and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is a very, very significant development, because yesterday we had a meeting in the DOT Alliance, India Alliance in Mumbai. But today, 2 senior congressmen have been included. Not anyone from, because Ghulam Nabi Azad, though he's heading a political party in Jammu Kashmir, if you remember in the Rajya Sabha when Prime Minister saluted him and he cried also on Ghulam Nabi Azad's farewell speech.
Right.
Similarly, inclusion of Ghulam Nabi Azad and Ajay Ranjan Chaudhary is a political move. It is going to give a befitting reply to the Congress, and the Congress people, especially the 3 Gandhis, mother, son, daughter, will get irritated, and it is also an irritation because Ghulam Nabi Azad's inclusion.
Just stay on, sir. Stay on, Mr. Rajgopalan. I have, Mr. Ajay Verma with us, leader of the Congress Party. Verma ji, आपको इस जो पैनल का कॉम्पोजिशन है, उससे खुश हैं आप, सहमत हैं?
देखिए, हमारी खुश होने से, हमारे खुशी ना होने से फ़र्क इसलिए नहीं पड़ता। मेरे पास बहुत सारे मैसेज हिंदुस्तान भर के चारों सारी स्टेटों से लोगों के आ रहे हैं। राष्ट्रपति एक सबसे बड़ा पद होता है देश का, और मैंने समझता हूँ आज़ादी के बाद से लेके आज तक कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि इस पद के बाद उनको कहीं किसी भी ग्रीवेंस, किसी भी सीट्स पर या किसी उस पर, हाँ दोबारा तो राष्ट्रपति बनाया जा सकता है, लेकिन इस तरह की किसी कमेटी में चेयरमैन बनाना, तो इट इज़ द एजेंडा ऑफ द भाजपा, इट इज़ द टोटली प्योरली एजेंडा ऑफ द king of the India.
एजेंडा ऑफ द भाजपा आप बोल तो रहे हैं, अब सिद्धार्थ यादव है, मैं उनको
जस्ट मैं पूरा कर दूं,
बोल लीजिए।
तो मैं केवल ये बताना चाहता हूं कि एक इनका डायलॉग आप सुनते हैं कि मोदी है तो मुमकिन है। अनडाउटली मोदी है तो मुमकिन है। वो क्यों? कि आप कुछ भी कर सकते हैं। जब आपके समझ में आता है, रात को 10 टीवी पे आएंगे, नोटबंदी कर देंगे, देश के लोग लाइनों में लग जाएंगे। जब आपकी समझ में आता है रेलवे स्टेशन सेल कर देंगे, जब आपकी समझ में आता है एयरपोर्ट सेल कर देंगे।
बात बताइए, इसमें उसमें क्या दिक्कत है? अगर अनाउंसमेंट हो रही है, अगर इमरजेंसी अनाउंस किया जा सकता है।
और बता दीजिए, मैं और बता रहा हूं, फिर आप पूछ लीजिए। जब आपकी समझ में आता है दे कॉल द स्पेशल सेशन, दे कॉल द स्पेशल सेशन। अरे भाई, अपोजिशन और भी लोग हैं, लोकतंत्र यहां है हिंदुस्तान में। देयर इज द डेमोक्रेसी, देयर इज नो डिक्टेटरशिप।
लोकतांत्रिक तो है इसमें। देखिए, अधीर रंजन चौधरी कौन से पार्टी के हैं?
नहीं, अब मैं बता रहा हूं, किसी से चर्चा नहीं, विशेष सत्र के लिए
चर्चा के लिए तो बना है वर्मा जी, पैनल चर्चा ही तो करेगी। पैनल और क्या करेगी?
70%
सिद्धार्थ यादव, मिस्टर राजगोपालन, आई विल कम टू यू आल्सो सर, प्लीज डोंट hang up. Sidharth Yadav, quick comment.
No, the reality actually is that this bunch of people just can't accept anything which is good for the country. Now, I don't know, they're bringing up this new narrative about the former president being heading such a committee. This committee is of such importance that if it is being headed by a former president, it increases the weight of the committee. We are making a stronger, bigger leap in the democracy of our country, and we are a very mature democracy. For us to discuss such things for our country, which reduces the expenditure on elections, saves our resources, is of importance, and that is why I see no reason of objection. But I don't know why, for an example, if I have to quote, today the I.N.D.I.A was launched. How many Congress leaders have tweeted about it? Did Rahul Gandhi tweet about it? M.K. Stalin? Akhilesh Yadav? Nobody, because this bunch does not like the achievements of India. They do not like any progress. Now India is progressing at a rate of 7.8% GDP growth, highest in the world. They can't celebrate this, because anything which attributes success to Bharat, success to India, is not acceptable to this gang. Now this,
Mr. Verma, 1 minute. Mr. Verma is saying that चर्चा नहीं होगी। रवि श्रीवास्तव, ये जो पैनल बना है ये तो चर्चा के लिए है।
Pranesh, already 3 reports on this one nation, one poll are gathering dust with the government. So where was the need for the 4th committee? Right. It is just to divert the attention of the people from the India alliance, which is emerging stronger every day. And the media is using a magnifying glass to find out that whose table or whose plate had 1 rasgulla and whose plate had 2 rasgullas. Who caught the flight first, who did not attend this meeting, who did not stand there. Who has got differences in its state, who is fighting with whom, where, in Rajasthan or Chhattisgarh, this, that.
We'll talk about, Mr. Srivastava, I understand your concern. 1 minute. You're not answering the question. Mr. Verma of the Congress Party. 1 minute, Mr. Srivastava, he is saying चर्चा नहीं होगी। ये जो पैनल बना है तो चर्चा ही करेगी ना?
अरे, how long you want to do the charcha? Already 3 times charcha has already happened. You discuss those reports first. But now you want to divert the attention. You want to have just to neutralize the India news from the media. You are trying to make an added venture.
How are the two related, sir? How are the two related? 1 minute. Are you suggesting, Mr. Ravi Srivastava, answer this question? In 1983, when the Election Commission came up with the suggestion that let's have simultaneous elections again, did it foresee that in 2023, 28 parties will come together and form I.N.D.I.A? What are you saying?
If 40 years it could not happen, it can wait for another 10 years or 5 years. Keep on doing the charcha. Who is stopping? But there is
so many things that happened.
When China is
no, Mr. Srivastava, what is... I don't understand the logic. Now, if there was no panel, you would have said the government is dictatorial. There is no consultative mechanism. Here is a panel that will consult... 1 minute. Here is a panel that will consult each other. They will deliberate on the way to go forward. Now you are saying this is a deflection. You make up your mind. What is it?
I have made up my mind. Prime Minister is rattled.
No, you made up your mind. Anything that the government does is deflection because you have to oppose it for the sake of it.
800 रुपए बढ़ा करके 200 रुपए सिलेंडर के ऊपर कम कर दिए।
इसका सिलेंडर से क्या मतलब है सर?
सर मतलब है
अच्छा अजय वर्मा,
ऑफ इंडिया,
इसका हर चीज से मतलब है। 32,000 करोड़ रुपए कमाएंगे, 2,000 करोड़ वापस दे देंगे। हम पूछेंगे कि मित्र के पास पैसा कैसे घूम रहा है तो उस पर जवाब नहीं देंगे, जेपीसी नहीं कराएंगे,
मिस्टर राजा गोपालन
बना देंगे।
ठीक है वर्मा जी, इस पे भी लेते हैं, दूसरे साइड पे भी सुनते हैं। मिस्टर राजगोपालन has been listening to this intently. Mr. Rajgopalan, what is the sense that you are getting?
Country is getting
1 minute, Mr. Srivastava. Mr. Srivastava, 1 minute. I think we've lost that line.
Newspapers are mentioning about it, that the Prime Minister is involved in it. And there is no word of explanation from the Prime Minister. He doesn't utter a word. What is this?
Sidharth Yadav, quick
Please
comment.
let me give a reply to that.
Yeah.
Please. No, the entire problem is what he just admitted. For the things that did not happen for the past 40 years are definitely happening. 12 crore people have come out of the poverty line, did not happen for 40 years, forget 40, for 60 years.
That's the job of the
everything
government.
that this country was waiting for is now happening under the regime of Narendra Modi government. 370 it happened. Ram Mandir it happened. And yes sir, definitely whatever this country has been waiting for will happen. And it will happen under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. If you don't want to accept it, don't accept it. If you are rattled, if you are upset about it, be upset about it. Because the country is ready to accept it.
Not,
You were the
not
ones
country is
who
ready,
used to
only
cry
you
about where
and
the
your
digital
IT
transactions
cell and your Sarkar is ready. No, country is not ready.
No, you don't,
country is
you
not
don't
ready.
remember
Country
P.
is
Chidambaram
not-
coming in the parliament
country
and
is
saying
not ready.
this
You
country
can-
is not
you
ready
can't-
for digital payments.
You tell
now
a lie.
go to any
You
place
tell a
in
lie.
this country.
Country is
The
not ready. Only you are ready.
UPI
The government is ready.
Gentlemen,
Only PM is ready.
One after another, let's not talk over each other. Mr. Gandhi, Mr. Gandhi, 1 minute. Mr. Gandhi, now you've heard all sides, you've seen the composition of the panel. What do you think?
See, all these are only to deflect the attention from the core issues. The core issues are the popularity with which I.N.D.I.A is gaining, number one. Number two, the scam of the government which is unveiled by CAG for rupees 7.5 lakh crores. And point number three, the scam of Prime Minister's friend I.N.D.I.A, which surfaced day before yesterday. Only to deflect attentions, all these one nation, one poll, or even today the headlines which you put up, Didi Mamata Banerjee is not participating in the meetings, or Arvind Kejriwal is not participating in the meetings. All these are to deflect the attention, because let's understand one thing. India alliance is an alliance of formidable parties. Most of the parties are either in power in the states or in dominant position in the states. Whereas I.N.D.A is a bunch of letterpad parties which does not have even one councillors. Let us leave away MLAs and MPs. And Prime Minister Modi is forced to convene such a meeting only to gain some sympathy or gain some support, because with this type of parties, controlled Prime Minister Modi cannot come back to power. This is the reality. Let us accept the reality. Because in Tamil Nadu, if I take the list of, I'm just taking the example of Tamil Nadu. If I take the list of parties which are being included in the I.N.D.I.A alliance, nobody knows. Even the Rotary Club or Lions Club will not invite these type of members for their function. But the Honorable Prime Minister is inviting them and having a coffee. This is the situation of the pathetic situation of Mr. Modi and BJP, because they are not able to find even alliances. So in order to cover up all this, they are coming up with this concept of one nation, one poll, which is totally a bizarre idea. Because
but sir, this is not a BJP concept. Mr. Gandhi, we have to go back in the past to understand its origin. Now, for the first 3 general elections, in fact, till 1967, all we had was simultaneous polls.
I'd like to make...
Then the cycle somehow got disrupted because of... because of the tenure of the state assemblies.
Understand the concept of one nation, one poll. I think you are not able to understand.
Ravi Srivastava, 1 minute, sir. You had time to speak. Let me take views of Mr. Gandhi.
One nation, one election means the parliament and the state legislatures will have equal term. That is, the term of the parliament and the legislature are co-terminus with each other. That means, assuming in case if the parliament gets dissolved because of any issues, all the state assemblies has to be dissolved and election has to be conducted again. On the contrary, if any of the state assembly gets dissolved for any reason, Again, all the state assemblies and parliament has to be dissolved. And
But that is what this committee will brainstorm on.
It is a bizarre idea.
Mr. Gandhi, but what is the problem in having a consultation?
Just give me 30 seconds. And you are talking about election commission recommendation and also the law commission recommendation. Both are entirely different. The law commission has recommended to have a baseline date, that is a reference date as 2024. And those states which are completing...
Okay, 1 minute. Just to put this in context, what we are talking about, let me quickly read out this notification that we have on Times Now. It says, and I'm quoting, suggest a framework for synchronization of elections and specifically suggest the phases and time frame within which simultaneous elections may be held if they cannot be held in one go, and also suggest any amendments to the constitution and other laws in this regard and propose such rules that may be required in such circumstances. Now this list, no, 1 minute, Mr. Gandhi, 1 minute. The list, it has Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, he's from the Congress party. You have Ghulam Nabi Azad, another senior leader of the Congress party. Then you have constitutional experts like Mr. Salve, Subhash Kashyap. There are others on the panel. So what's wrong in at least discussing this?
You bring any number of panelists, let them be the president of India or let them be the prime minister of India. That is not the matter here. The issue here is the timing of this announcement. Why are you announcing all this when the India alliance is gaining popularity? This is only to deflect the attention through the media. Nothing more. You could have done it for the last 9 years, no? Last 9 years you were in power. Mr. Modi was in power. Not Rahul Gandhi or Trimati Sonia Gandhi was in power. When Mr. Modi was in power for last 9 years.
Sidharth Yadav,
why you have
answer on the timing bit. Mr. Gandhi is incensed. He says now that team I.N.D.I.A is gaining popularity, why are you bringing in this?
No,
you could have conducted one nation, one poll in 2019 itself.
He cannot oppose it on the core, on the fundamentals of it. Now he will have to bring up the timing. We have been speaking about it in 2020. Narendra Modi spoke about it. On the Constitution Day, he spoke about it. On different forums, our different ministers have been
Let him talk, Mr. Gandhi. You asked him a question, he's responding to that.
For a debate to happen. Now when the time is happening, now I'm just giving you a reply, sir. Please be patient enough to hear me. Now, when we are approaching general elections in 2024, starting from now to next year, this month, we have around 11 state assemblies, a general election. It is the time for us to actually deliberate upon can we have this or not. For that, we are having a committee which has administrative experience, judicial experience, and we have people from the government. The seriousness of the committee is there, but now they can't oppose it on the core. They can't oppose it on the fundamentals of why we should have it or not. Not on the merits. Now they'll have to go on the timings because they are just of the thought of opposing. They can't think beyond opposing anything. You have to oppose everything that happens.
No. All are you.
The same
Up to down to upper side, because all are of you. Only Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is outsider.
Don't give yourself
no matter.
That for your meeting such a thing happens.
And all are you.
That is what I was speaking about.
Mr. Verma, do you have faith in Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary?
What is the...
No, 1 minute, Mr. Yadav, 1 minute. 1 minute, Mr. Gandhi, 1 minute. Mr. Verma coming in, 1 minute. Ravi Srivastava, 1 minute, शांत हो जाइए. वर्मा जी, आपको अधीर रंजन चौधरी पे विश्वास है?
अधीर रंजन चौधरी पर हमको 100% विश्वास है, लेकिन सुनेगा कौन? पिछले 9 साल में जो देश के हालात, विदेश के हालात, हर इंस्टीट्यूशनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल संस्थाओं के हालात, किसके सुनने के बाद क्या हाल देखें, तो अधीर रंजन चौधरी अगर कुछ कहेंगे तो उसको सुनेगा कौन, ये बताइए मुझे. बाकी जितने लोग हैं वो सरकार का पार्ट है किसी ना किसी तरह से. गृह मंत्री ले लीजिए, हरीश साल्वे साहब ले लीजिए, गुलाम नबी आजाद साहब ले लीजिए.
भी क्या किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के हैं क्या है वो? क्या है बताइए
ना, आप बता दीजिए.
आप बता दीजिए, मेरे लिए तो सीनियर एडवोकेट है, नोटेड ज्यूरिस्ट है.
देखिए साल्वे साहब हमेशा सरकार का पक्ष रखते हैं. आपने देखा है हमेशा. इट मींस क्या है, आप देखिए अक्स तो एक शेर सुन लीजिए.
अच्छा, गुलाम नबी आजाद क्या है?
अक्स तो जैसा है वैसा ही नजर आएगा. आप आईना बदलते हैं, बदलते रहिए. तो मेरा देखिए सारी चीजें मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं, अगर आपने मन बना लिया है, और हो सकता है आपकी इजराइल से बात हो गई हो कि भाई
इसमें वर्मा जी ये तो बहुत ही बिजार है. देखिए आप इजराइल पे पहले आपने इंडिया वाला एग्जांपल दिया, इंडिया से आप नहीं संभल रहा आर्गुमेंट, अब आप इजराइल जा रहे हैं. रवि श्रीवास्तव बोल रहे हैं डिफ्लेक्शन election hai. Mr. Gandhi shares the view.
मैं इसलिए कह
When,
रहा हूं
one
कि
minute. From 1983 to 2023, this has been discussed several times. It's not as if, you know, the government of the day has woken up in 2023 to say, look, this is a eureka moment. Let's have simultaneous polls again. 1999 में भी हुआ, 1999 में, उसके बाद लॉ कमीशन ने इस पे रिपोर्ट दिया. Mr. Verma,
what is the working of the
so it's
central
only,
government
it's
and
only the beginning
NDA.
of the consultative process. Why are you ascribing motive?
Not consultative.
Okay. Let's see how this unfolds in the days to come. For the moment, you know, that's all the time that we have. I thank all of you, gentlemen, for joining us on Times Now. Short break. Meghna Deka joins you on the other side. Stay with Times Now.